Making a declaration for a Wessex League main match. If you haven't already done so, download both the male and female declaration sheets from the league website and rename the file on disk to include your club name. This makes it a lot easier for the host club to sort out which declarations they've received from which clubs, and also to open those declarations when they're filling in their system. Make sure you enable editing on this sheet, on this workbook even, and go to the male or female declaration sheet to enter your declarations. Notice how you can zoom in or out of the sheet to give you more of an overview. I'll try and stay zoomed in for this video though, because it makes it easier to see for demonstration purposes. To make it easier for the host club to know who has sent them this declaration, fill in the venue. Again, I'll use some example data and your club name and your club letters. I'm not sure if B is accurate, but it's just dummy data. This is used by the host club exclusively. So if you've made a mistake here, it's not the end of the world, but it does make it a lot easier for the host club to know who this declaration has been received from. Also make sure that the information in the middle is accurate. You're now in a situation to start completing the declaration. So enter the names of all the athletes that will be competing in each age group. So I'll just make up some dummy data here. And against each athlete, assign them their unique reference number that was given to them by England Athletics. Again, I'll just make up some data. Ignore the green warning triangle. This is just Excel's way of telling you, hey, didn't you mean to include some letters in here? You may or may not have meant to include them, so just ignore that warning. Against each event, fill in A or B, whether that athlete is the A or the B string. So in this example, we've got Adam in the A string of the shot and Barry in the B string of the shot. If you don't have a B string, then just leave that blank. If you don't have any athletes in the event, then don't complete this column at all, just leave it blank. You'll never find yourself in a situation where you only declare a B string. That just wouldn't make sense. If an athlete is competing as a non-scorer, then make sure you enter n/s next to their name. Now, Excel it will try and auto-complete. And once you've entered n/s, notice how it gives you an X in this column C here. So again, I can do this for Adam. There's an alternative technique. I can use this drop down here and select a valid value for this cell. I'm going to select NS again, and notice how he is also given an X. Now this X is used by the host club on the day. This is how they determine which athletes need to be allocated numbers. So maybe before the day they would have gone through all the athletes that have been given an X. They would have assigned them a number. It might not be contiguous numbers, it's just numbers they have lying around after an open meeting maybe. And then on the day, you would come in and receive the physical number from the host club. And then complete the declaration obviously for all of the remaining events, A, B, and you also need to include the relay team. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this would be the actual order of the relay. So if we had David running the third leg and Charlie running the fourth leg, then declare this order. In the grand scheme of things, if you declare an incorrect order for the relay, it's not the end of the world, but please do note that if the relay team receives a record, then their names go down in that order in the record book. So it is always good practice, wherever possible, to declare the relay team in the correct order. The column on the right hand side is a count of the number of events that this athlete has appeared in. So in this example, Barry has a 3 because he's in B string shot, non-scoring 1500 and B string 200. If I take him out of the 1500, then he goes down to 2 events. An athlete can only compete in so many events as per the league rules. So if he exceeds the number of events that he's allowed to compete in, the column total will go red. Now, the league rules should always be taken as the actual official stance on number of events, and use this, whether it goes red or not, as a guide. I can't guarantee that the declaration will always be up to date with the rules, but we'll obviously do our best to make it up to date as much as possible. Now, similar to the total of number of events that an individual athlete is in, at the very bottom of the sheet, I just scrolled down, you'll see there's totals for A string, B string, and non-scoring. Now, I'll just enter data at the bottom of the sheet to make it easier to see, but as I enter an A string for the high jump, you'll see this number increases to 1. If I enter B string, then the B string increases to 1. If I enter two A strings, I'm given an indication that I've entered incorrectly, and two B strings, again, an indication I've entered incorrectly. The non-scoring count will differ between track and field events. So non-scoring discus goes up to 1, non-scoring discus now goes up to 2. That's too many. I can only have one non-scorer per league rules per club. Track is a little bit more lenient, and I'll use the example of the 200 here. So it's gone up to 1 for the 200, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the 6th non-scorer it turns red. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head that 5 is the maximum number of non-scorers. It does seem like rather a lot, but just to let you know, there is this turns red for too many non-scorers declared in an event. Just to finish off the story, non-scoring, you can have a non-scoring relay. This is denoted with non-scoring /1, non-scoring 2, non-scoring 3, non-scoring 4. This doesn't mean you can have 4 non-scoring relays. This is just the order that your non-scoring relay runners are running in. You do normally find on the day that a declared non-scoring relay ends up not running because you need to take their members for the scoring relay. So having completed all of the under 13 boys, A's and B strings, you need to complete the same for under 15 boys, under 17 men, and their female equivalents, 13 girls, 15 girls, and 17 women. Under 20 men do not score for the league, so there's less restrictions on tallying up the number of events that they're in or making sure that you've declared an A or a B string. For the under 20 men, then you would just be declaring non-scorers for these events. Now, be aware that the system as it stands doesn't seem to tabulate X's. I will fix that. Notice how it does in this row. So the version you'll be using will correctly indicate an X for a non-scoring under 20. It is important to declare your under 20s. This is used by the track officials on the day, the marksman, the track referee, to determine how many athletes they expect to turn up for each event. For example, the declared under 13 to under 17 may only justify a single 1500 meter race, but if they notice that there's 3 other under 20s running in the 1500, they may choose to have 2 races of under 1500. Once complete, make sure you sign the declaration with your name at the bottom right hand corner to make sure that you declare that you have, to the best of your knowledge, not made any errors in your declaration. Save the document, ignoring any compatibility messages that come up on screen. That's just to do with the version of Excel. And then mail the document to the host club. Other features of the declaration sheet. Under here we have team sheet. Now obviously a lot of these NAs here are because I just populated with dummy data, but you see this provides you a portrait view of the athletes that you've entered into the match. Now this is useful if maybe you are keeping track on a clipboard on the day and you might want to have this information. If you make the font bigger, it makes it a lot easier to read on your clipboard. You can make modifications with pencil and then fill in team declaration sheets rather than trying to cross things out on this overview image, which is a lot more difficult to see when everything's on the same page. Finally, the under 13, under 15, and under 17 tabs are little cutouts that you can give to the athletes, maybe on the coach or as they approach you on the day to say, hey, I'm here, what events am I in, what times are they? It just saves you having to write all of this out by hand. I find this really useful, particularly for the younger athletes, to keep track of what events they're in and to make sure they turn up on time to each event. And that's everything. Thank you very much for listening, and good luck in your competitions.